now, so you all know. Welcome, everyone. And I'm very happy to welcome you all to our new season of ThoughtLab session within L&D Shakers community. My name is Valeria Forestanova. I am a ThoughtLab catalyst who is new to the L&D Shakers community. It's a community which began in Amsterdam with the idea of 4 or 5 people, and now it's a worldwide community. We have many local hubs around the world. We have in Amsterdam, we have in Barcelona, we have in New York, and many other countries. After a summer break, I need some fresh air. We use 2 main channels, which is LinkedIn and also Slack. So if you're not part of Slack yet, I would encourage you to subscribe, because a lot of information, a lot of news and events we post there. And we also duplicate them on LinkedIn. Today you are a part of the ThoughtLab session, which is one of the events, online events we have within L&D Shakers. The idea is that every ThoughtLab session is hosted by one of our guest speakers. By the way, you can be also part of the one of the hosts in the future if you want. Our guests share their experience in the field, their lessons learned and best practices. Having said that, I'm very happy to share today this session with our speaker, Neha Ratnakar. She is a TEDx speaker, author, and a learning strategist who has a passion to unlock the expertise of in-house people. And today Neha will share with us her story and her tips and tricks. So Neha, no more delays, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Valeria. And that was such a kind introduction. There's a chat message for Shaker Slack channel. I think that's a good one. That's where I started the journey with L&D Shakers, and I've gone to a bunch of different events in Amsterdam, all over the world, and it's a superb community, so highly recommend. All right, so to begin with, before I start sharing the nuts and bolts, so to say, of the framework for knowledge sharing and the edge up and big words that were there on the description, I try to keep it simple. And to make sure that we have a fruitful conversation, I would love to hear from all of you in chat, if you can. What is the one expectation that you have from the session today? So when you read the session description, what was the one thing that popped in your mind saying, oh, maybe this is something that I'll get to learn or explore as a part of this webinar? I'll wait as you pop one expectation. That'll also help me customize the conversation a bit to make sure that I can answer maximum questions. Thanks, Valeria. And don't worry if it's something that may or may not be covered, but it's good to have it out in the open. Crystal, thanks. Yeah, resourcefulness, always a big fan of that. Reusing, recycling, repurposing what we have instead of reinventing the wheel. Thanks for that one. Anna, ideas to gain support for peer learning from senior leaders. I think that's spot on. Peer learning is something that we haven't really done enough of in organizations, and this could be a good start. Getting inspired on how to drive impact as L&Ders. Oops, yes, that's an Achilles heel for many people. The amount of work we do, the efforts we put in, and yet not being seen as an impactful part of the team can hurt sometimes. How to set up networks of learners, supporters that doesn't die after some time. Yes, we've all been to the graveyard of the dead learning programs. Making impact with limited budget, learning from best practices. Yes to all 3. New practical insights on L&D space. Thank you, Popa, for popping that in. Motivation for in-house L&D team. That's a good one. I try to inject some motivation into it. I hope the conversation brings some motivation to all of you. Cool. So thank you for sharing that first piece with me. Helps me understand what the group is most interested in, and then make sure that I spread out the next 45 minutes in that way. But before we dive into the solution, let's get real about what we're all starting from. I see from some of your messages about limited budgets and the support that dies every once in a while. And let's start with a quick quiz that I have for you. I'm going to show you 7 statements from L&D life. I have been in L&D for 12 plus years, and I've seen the good, bad, the ugly, and the absolutely horrific things as well, but also the great ones. So I want you to take a look at the 7 statements. I'll just pop them up in a second. Read them one by one and rate them honestly. It's anonymous, so be brutally honest so you know where you stand as an organization, as an L&D'er, or as a champion of L&D. So take your time. I'll wait as you respond to these questions that are coming right up. Yeah. It's a Mentimeter, so if you scan the QR code, the questions will pop on your screen. And then we'll look at the responses. Again, it's anonymous. Be honest with what you how you respond. We're waiting for a few more responses. If you see me looking away, I have 2 screens and I can see the results on the second screen. I'll give you a couple of more seconds and then we'll talk about what we see on screen. All right, I think the 13th participant is me. So I think all of us have responded. And I see the results that I expected, not very far from what I've seen as a lived experience as an L&D person in-house in many organizations. And I feel you. It's not just you who's struggling with these 1s and 2s and not even a single 3 on this chart right now for me. Anybody who's surprised by these results, anybody who thought it was just me who felt that this was a challenge in my organization, the lack of budgets, not being seen as a strategic partner, or any of these things. Any surprises there? If you write in the chat, I'll be able to see, or you can speak. It's a small group. We can actually hear from you if you want to say something when you saw these results. I know, Valeria, you said motivation, and sorry for starting on such a downer, but it is the reality that many of our L&D colleagues live in, and how they face this impossible equation every day. But I want to start with saying that it's not you who's failing. I think the L&D playbook that has been taught to us by our leaders, by our managers and the profession says you need more and more budget. You need to hire a bigger team if you want to expand L&D. If you need to train more people, you need more tools, better softwares, e-learning programs, LMSs, whatnot. But I think, of course, all those have a space of their own. But I think a part of the solution already is in your offices, is walking through the hallways, probably sits next to you, and it doesn't need any big asset or a budget for building it. So that's what we are going to explore in the next 45 minutes. How do you turn these 1s and 2s and 3s into bigger numbers into a fore, into being seen as a strategic partner and actually making impact, even to the point where you can prove the ROI of the initiatives that you're taking. All right. So with that, this is going to be a research-based session. I've tried to inject a little interactivity, but please stop me if you want to chime in, add something to the conversation. So I've devoted my last year to this research, and this is not mine, but I wanted to introduce this pyramid to all of you before we go into the more detailed ones. This is called a DIKW pyramid, and it talks about the knowledge that is always there in organizations. And it is divided into 4 levels: data, which is just the raw facts and figures, the numbers that you see; then information, which is processed data, but with some context; then the knowledge, which is information combined with experience of people who have worked on things in the organization; and then wisdom, where the knowledge is applied with judgment, or how people connect the dots, what sometimes we call a gut feel because somebody is experienced in a field. And here's the challenge. Most trainings that we create are very information or data or even knowledge focused, but we haven't been able to touch on the wisdom part of it. For example, if you go to your organization's top salesperson, all of you, many of you are in organizations, every organization has a salesperson. And if you're a one-person army, you are the salesperson. And if you ask them, how do you close deals? How do you get all these sales? They'll say, step 1, I build rapport with the customer. Now, it's just one sentence, I build rapport. And that's the explicit part of it, the easy stuff. They say, okay, this is step 1. But what does that actually mean? If you actually accompany a salesperson on their sales call, you'll see that they are quickly reading micro expressions of the customer. They are timing their questions perfectly. They are adjusting their approach based on what the subtle clues that they're getting, and they can't even name these things. So that part is the tacit knowledge, the gold mine part that I'm talking about. And as learning and development people, this is where the impact actually lies. And this whole knowledge ecosystem, knowledge management, knowledge sharing has always been an unsexy topic, at least for me. I've been in L&D, I said, for 12 years, and I always ignored the knowledge management and knowledge sharing part of it because, hey, if we can do team building and if we can do leadership development retreats and everything fun, why do we invest time in this? But after working with experts from a variety of fields, from tech, investment banking, even medical supplies, etc., I realized that this top part, this wisdom part, is where the gold mine actually lives, and this is where us L&D people can go back, make impact without breaking the bank, and actually be seen as a strategic business partner like we always want to be. Okay, so with that, I want to ask you a simple question. I'm going to start another Menti. It's the same QR code. I want you to think about yourself as an expert. You are, I'm sure, an expert at something in life. In 1 or 2 words, what is a skill you have that others often ask you about? What do people come to you for and seek your advice on? Is the QR code working? Okay. Mateus, try going to menti.com and use the code that you see on top.
I have tried, but unfortunately, it seems my connection is just that bad. Sorry, actually.
Pop in the words here. I'll fill it out for you. All right, I'll wait for a few more seconds. Lots of interesting things I had not expected at all. Cool. Coordination, digital skills, running. So cool. Structuring. Then okay. Management, psychology, transition. Visual design, impact measurement. Nice. It's good to see other peers working in impact measurement as well. All right, I'll give it a couple of seconds more. I see many people have put in project management and coordination and facilitation as their skills that they are known for or that they feel very confident about. And just if you look at this screen, look at all this expertise that is there in this small little group that we have. We are what, 15, 20 people, and I gave you 5 seconds to think about one thing that you are talented in. And you came up with this whole list. We have been able to identify more expertise in just 90 seconds than what most organizations they catalog in a year. Organizations don't know who is good at what extent, and how can these skills or these talents or this expertise can be transferred from one person to another. And if you want to take a screenshot of this, feel free to take it, because this word cloud is your peer learning network right here. So if any of you wants to pick out running, there's a person in this group who can help you get better at it, or project management, or impact measurement, or facilitation, or be more resilient, or gamification, or whatnot. So we were able to source expertise of 15 people in just a few seconds. And here's a $1 million question. If we can do it in a small group, what's stopping organizations from doing it on a larger scale? And this is where you come in. As the internal L&D person, you can actually support your organization to systematically identify, capture, and share all sorts of knowledge in the organization. And that's why I developed the Expert Edge framework. And this framework is something that I worked on meticulously for the last 1.5 years. I interviewed people from 43 small, medium organizations. And now I'm in the process of socializing it to see how it works in organizations, and how organizations can actually leverage whatever resources they have without spending any extra money. So I divide this framework into 3 buckets: identify expertise, simplifying tacit knowledge, and launch system. Tacit knowledge is the top tier of the knowledge, the wisdom that stays in any organization. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to absorb the amount of information that's there, and then probably walk you through slowly each of these steps. All right. So if you've had a few seconds to absorb the crazy amount of information I just threw at you, I thought I'll walk you through the 3 stages of the framework and how you can do so much more than what you're already doing to capture the internal knowledge and help the organization become more resilient and future ready as you go into the next stages of development in your careers and in the organizations. The first stage that I recommend is to identify the expertise. Many a times the organizations, especially small, medium organizations, don't even stop to think, oh, what is the crucial knowledge that stays in our company? I've heard the term SPOF over and over again in the interviews that I had, the 43 companies that I interviewed. SPOF stands for a single point of failure. So there are always these key people in an organization who, if leave, the company might be in trouble, or the company wouldn't know how to proceed, because these people hold really key knowledge and key skills and wisdom on what has been done so far and how can the company go into the future. So I think the stage one is for L&D people to help the organization identify the expertise that lies within, mapping the domains which are crucial for the business continuity, identifying who these people are who are great at these skills or this wisdom, and then recognizing what specialism it is that can be carried forward to another person or can be taught to the rest of the team, so more people can connect those dots in their brains. The second stage is to simplify this tacit knowledge. Like, how we saw in the example of the salesperson, if you ask a salesperson, how do you make these sales? One line of I just build rapport with the customer is not going to give you anything. So as an L&D person, I see lots of people who said, I'm great at communication and facilitation. And this is where your core competency can actually play a role, where you help these people uncover these experiences. I've worked with several rocket scientists when I was in the US as experts, and I realized that many people who are really smart, who know, who hold a world of knowledge in their brains, are not the best at articulating what they know to teach the other people in the room or in their teams to be a great mentor, coach, or a guru as they develop new people. And as an L&D person, you are that extra pair of hands that can help them uncover those experiences and distill lessons from what you have just been able to understand. And this is where I really see a role of AI. I don't know what your company allows, but making sure that you're still protecting your IP, uncovering these experiences and distilling lessons from what they know can be a great value add that L&D can do. And then help them practice messaging. If you want these people to become articulate with how they teach what they know, you can also help them practice messaging of what they know and how they can teach it to other people. This central pillar can actually be seen as a train the trainer, but on steroids. So instead of teaching a person how to facilitate in front of a classroom, also helping them distill what they know in terms of stories, because just sharing experiences and stories is not enough. There have to be lessons out of it. So their success stories, their failure stories, how did they learn what they learned over the course of their careers or as they develop the companies. So that's the second part, a train the trainer on steroids. And once you have that, once you have people who have been identified as experts and you've been able to handhold them on how they can be taking their message, their learnings, and their wisdom to other people, you can also help your company launch an internal system. Again, this can be as cheap or as expensive or as, I don't know, budget free as you want it to be. You, along with your team, can decide the modality. The modality can be as simple as a lunch and learn every month, where some of your experts can come and share their stories and their lessons as they've learned. You can create an internal resource like an e-learning course, a resource document, a podcast, whatever works for you and your budget, and then continue to test and get feedback from the people internally to see how people are learning from that resource, and if that's something that's helping the organization grow in the long run. Now, I'm going to pause. I've been talking for a very, very long time. And this is, of course, a framework that I developed. So it's very close to my heart. And I can talk about it forever. But I want to take a pause and see if anybody has a question at this point before we proceed any further. Feel free to pop it in the chat or raise your hand or start speaking. That's fine too. It's not a school. Any thoughts, concerns?
Ah, yeah. Thanks for the explanation. Actually, I had some questions, especially about the SPOF. Based on your interviews, on what level you usually identify the SPOF? Is it like the old persons who the oldest worker in the company, or is it the most experienced one? Because actually, reflecting from my former experience, my company does have an SPOF, and he was the first employee that
Oh,
is directly recruited by the founder.
wow.
I
Okay.
think I want to know from your perspective. Thank you very much.
Sure. And I love that question because every company is very different. And these 43 companies had their own share of differences as well. So SPOF is, they can be the oldest employees. There are companies in Germany, when I spoke with them, their main concern was the aging population. And they knew that the whole generation of employees who have been there, who are seasoned, who are tenured, who know so much about the organization are going to leave. But they can also be co-founders, for example, if it's a small enough organization. I met one of a small organization right here in Amsterdam, and one of the co-founders had gone on a maternity leave. And the other co-founder was saying, hey, I constantly have to stop myself from calling up Anna because I have so many questions to ask. Now imagine having that resource with you, maybe an Anna chatbot who can answer questions as the co-founder for you, or having a resource, a document that shows you how Anna solves a problem. So it'll depend on what the organization needs and has. But yes, often the more tenured the employees, the more of a chance that they will be an SPOF. And just tenure doesn't dictate it, because it can also be a person who can easily be replaced. But then there are some core functions which, if lost, like in companies that depend on inventions, for them it could be that core knowledge of the scientist or the researcher and what they hold. That can be the crucial piece that they want to keep. So they are the SPOFs in that context. SPOF is a single point of failure. We've been using the acronym too much, but that's what it stands for. Thanks, Matthias. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that also add insight because the different types of SPOF also provides different challenge. Yeah, like I mean, the more tender the company. Oh, sorry, Valeria, please go on. I think I took too much time.
No, it's okay. You can complete your thought. That's fine.
All right, thank you very much, Neha. I think like the more the tenure the employee, I think there's gonna be a lot of communication gap. And like if the SPOF is at a very high position like co-founder, I think that will also create a communication gap too. So I think it is about how we adapt our strategies to simplify those knowledge. Thank you very much for the insight.
Absolutely. And that simplification is where L&D plays a part, because the founder is never going to stop and document everything, or think through their experiences to bring out that tacit knowledge. They won't have the time or or even the willingness. Yeah, Valeria, you have something to add to the conversation.
Yeah, question, Neha. Which of these three pillars is the most challenging when it comes to implementation?
I think the second one, because that's the crux of the whole framework. And this is the biggest part that L&D can play. Identifying of expertise is something that many organizations automatically do. Like when organizations apply for ISO certification, etc., it is a part of that process to figure out what the competencies are for being future ready. But the second stage is where the expertise of us as facilitators, as communicators, actually lies, and as coaches to help these experts be able to teach what the wisdom that they hold to other people. And third one is, of course, important, because if you can't take what you have collected to the rest of the people so they can learn, it's again a waste of time. So it's not for your learning, but it's for the overall organization to get that wisdom. All right, Ryan.
Thank you. Really appreciating the session. The question that I had was around how do we build the credibility of someone within the organization? Quite often, if we bring in someone external who has certain expertise, it's kind of seen already as someone who's going to add a great value. But if it's a colleague, sometimes it's just seen, well, I have access to this person. So how do we build their expertise in a way so that everyone really recognizes that and really takes the best out of it?
God, let me make sure I understand the question correctly, Ryan. So so there are, of course, experts everywhere at all levels, and some people are known as experts. So people know, oh, if we have a question about something specific, we go to Ryan, and he's the go-to person. But then there can also be a Neha in the organization who doesn't speak as much, which is a lie. But if I were that Neha, who doesn't speak that much and probably is focused on her own work, and people don't even know that she's good at it. Maybe her manager or her peers know, but the overall organization doesn't know. So how do you make sure that these experts are recognized? Is that?
Yes, but it's more like, how do we get the audience to listen to that expert, right? Because they may not have the the academic background that proves that expertise in a sense.
Fair enough. So how do you simplify that knowledge again for the audience to understand what they're teaching? And that's why you are the central pillar as the L&D expert to simplify those messages. So yeah, you will play a very crucial part in helping them create a lesson or a wisdom chunk for the rest of the organization to consume in a more simplified version. But also, it doesn't have to be simplified. For example, a rocket scientist teaching about rocket scientistry to the next person who will replace them has to keep it high level. They cannot dumb it down to the layman language, right? So it depends on the topic, of course. But as an L&D expert, it's our job to pull out the right stories, because often you'll see when experts talk about their work, they talk in a lot of jargon, in things that they think is common knowledge when it is absolutely not. So you are that central piece that will make sure that they are injecting enough stories, enough examples, enough analogies to help bring their point home instead of it being too abstract for people, to actually give it more substance. And yeah, so that's absolutely crucial. And also to recognize the experts who are not very widely known. That's also something you will have to do. So this identification of expertise will have to be done with your core functions, with the not just the managers, but also at all levels, to see who are these people who are the hidden experts and can actually teach your company something that can take it to the next level. All right, does that answer your question, Ryan? Quite thought-provoking. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. And again, I'm not practicing what I preach. This framework is still very high level. So I want to show you the next slide as well, where I talk more about the activities that go into implementing this framework. Again, the three buckets stay the same, but it has the activities. So this will touch on what Ryan just asked about, finding out the experts. So surveying the stakeholders, auditing to identify experts, interviews to find their specialisms, because not every salesperson is excellent at selling to all types of customers, right? So they'll have their own specialisms in terms of what they are good at. This consent from expert for GDPR compliance is only if you're going to publish something that you create out of it. And many a times in organizations, it's a part of the NDA or the contract that you have signed. But since we are in Europe, I wanted to make sure that you're being aware of that as well. Again, I won't read out the slide to you. I'll wait for a few seconds as you go through it. I've tried to use simple words, so it's self-explanatory. But if you have any questions about any of these activities, pop them in the chat. And if not, I do have a question for all of you. All right, Valeria, thank you for asking that. Collaborative writing. Have you seen on LinkedIn, there are articles that sometimes we get invited to contribute to. I coach a lot of women on restarting their careers. So I always get career related articles where I can contribute to. But if you look for these articles on LinkedIn, you'll find them very easily. That's like the most concrete example that I can think of, where LinkedIn, all it does is creates a framework. For example, let's talk about the career related articles. It's about job search, about applying to companies, about interviews, about how to build your resume, etc. So what LinkedIn will do, it will create just a framework of these are the 5 steps of job search for you. And then it will invite a few hundred employees who, not employees, a few hundred members on LinkedIn to contribute to that topic. And people will come and add the tips and tricks and the things that have worked for them in their career journey, for interviews, for resume building, for reaching out to companies, networking, whatnot. And within a few hours, you have this big article which has a few hundred people who've contributed to it. And you get very actionable items, very actionable tips that you can actually implement in your own job search journey. So that's an example of collaborative writing. And you can do that in your organization by creating a framework of what are the steps or things to know in a particular topic, and then invite the experts internally to start writing tips and tricks that have worked for them in their career in that domain. And then voila, you have a collaboratively written article or a resource or a playbook that can be used by new people who join without having to go back to these experts again and again and again with the same questions. Because that's something that I've heard from experts over and over, that they get fatigued by people constantly asking them questions, the same questions over and over and over again. And they get so frustrated. They're like, I just want to focus and do my work. So that's something that will also help the experts feel more engaged in what they're doing and not get frustrated with how things are going on with the new people who join every day. How do you templatize lessons through coaching? Oh, no, you're right. So sorry. It should have been 2 different points, and now it's a mistake. Thank you for bringing it up, Frederick. The coaching should be a part of the next one. So it should be templatized lessons, and the next one should be additional articulation assistance through coaching. And it's on me. So for templatizing lessons, you use AI from whatever you hear from 5 different experts on a topic. You create a template out of it and a lesson plan that can be followed by other people. And then if they need additional support in articulating their stories, bringing out the lessons, and teaching what they know to other people, that's where your coaching skills come in. So it's a mistake. Thank you for pointing it out. I'll go back and change it. Thanks, Frederick. Anything else that stands out? I want you to take a quick look at the 3rd pillar, launch system, about how people can actually absorb the information that you're pulling out, that you're distilling from the experts that lives within the organization. And if you write in the chat here, what is a modality or a learning format that will work for your organization? You have very different organizations that you belong to. What have you seen work best for the audiences that you have internally? My list is not exhaustive. These are just a few examples that I could think of. Maybe there are other examples that have worked for you, and other people can take it back to their organizations. Lunch and learns and podcasts. All right, Joanna. I'm a huge fan of lunch and learns because as soon as you bring food, people come, is what I've realized. And podcasts, yes, because hey, you can listen to them while doing lots of different things. Launch and test. Workshops. Yes, workshops are always great. People can try things hands-on. Valeria, I'm also a big fan of launching and testing constantly, different ideas, different ways of learning, and curating playlists or learning paths. Crystal, that's also something that my colleagues have been discussing over the last few weeks about learning paths and how do we curate them the best so our learners get the best out of what we have to offer. Provide continuous learning opportunities on a larger scale quarterly, especially after completing a leadership program. Yes, so that they get to practice what they learn, right? Peer-to-peer, P2P is peer-to-peer, right, Ania? Yes, okay. Peer-to-peer learning sessions. And I think this modality works best for senior people because they don't want to be preached to or taught by an external person, but they love to learn from people who are at the same level, who face similar challenges and can have a higher level conversation with. Matthias, experiential learning sessions. Can you give us an example of an experiential learning session there?
To talk. It's the COLP cycle of experiential learning is basically when you are given an activity. Maybe we can deliver some games, and then the participants are we facilitate the participants to reflect on what happened during the games and try them to draw a connection between what we are trying to teach or what knowledge we are trying to socialize. So basically, they are gaining something through the reflection of their own activities, such as games. I learned it during.
Got it.
Yes, I already practice it, and it helps bring simplifies. It helps simplifying our tacit knowledge through engaging activities such as games, etc.
Yes, games have a role to play for sure to help people remember things much better because hey, you've brought your whole self to that experience and I think you're the person who put gamified learning or gamified experiences in that word cloud. So anybody who wants to talk about gamified learning, Matthias is your person. All right, thanks for the reference. I see Barbara said, depending on the audience, different things work from gamification to face-to-face to online blended learning. Absolutely. I think as an organization, we need to be mindful and offer that buffet to people so they can mix and match and learn from different ways that work for them. Crystal, we use a mural board for experiential learning mainly for reflection, and we'll do one next week based on the Jeopardy game. Ooh, and I highly recommend, Crystal, when you run these sessions, also record some of them and use the transcript to pull out some insights every time. So because many a times experts are in these sessions and they are the ones who are teaching people or are contributing new ideas to. So it could also help new people get an insight on how they think and what other people can learn from them. Matthias, not an expert? Okay, thank you for saying that. I would hate it if you get a million messages on LinkedIn tomorrow asking you for advice. Plus 100 on the power of game-based learning. Absolutely great idea. Oh, Crystal, thank you so much. Cool. So this is just my way of giving back to the learning and development community. I've been a part of this, not just L&D Shakers, but the whole community as a whole for years and years and years. And I ignored knowledge sharing, knowledge management, and learning from internal experts for a very long time because it was boring. But I think you all who are in L&D can actually start early, start on a stronger foot, and hence I'm sharing this framework that I've built. It's more to do with socializing the research that I've done and seeing it in action through your organizations, through your work. And we did this, but it's not showing the results. But I remember the scores. None of them were over three out of 5. And just a quick reminder, oh, there it is. What did you do, Valeria? Magic. Yeah, so that framework is based on these same things, these same concepts, restraints, constraints, and challenges that we have. Our budgets are never going to be generous, but this framework doesn't need it to be. It's your internal experts who will be contributing to the internal knowledge sharing efforts. You will be seen as strategic because you're future-proofing your organization in a way. Your employees will be able to apply immediately what they learned because what they're hearing, the stories, the examples, the analogies will fit their reality 100%. Unlike when you have an outside person coming in and teaching something, their examples may or may not resonate, may not connect. But with an internal person teaching them about their expertise, it'll be 100% sticky and also applicable to their realities in that organization. And yeah, to prove the business impact, I have created an ROI calculator that goes with the framework, but we don't have a lot of time. So if you are really interested, if you're trying something like this in an organization, hit me up. I'm happy to get on a quick call, 15-20 minutes, and I can walk you through how that ROI calculator can be used. And of course, this, I think, will have an added side effect of making sure that your critical experts are engaged because they'll feel respected for their expertise, and they're an internal, I don't know, superstar or a person who's respected for what they know, what they can teach internally, and also feel a little more committed to the organization going forward. I'm not saying you'll be able to retain your experts. That'll be foolish of me to claim something like that. But with efforts like these, they will definitely feel more respect and more engagement to the company than what they would otherwise. Ania, thank you. I appreciate your kind thought. And yeah, I want to leave you with a simple quote that I read, which really stuck with me. It's from the CEO of Hewlett-Packard, HP. And it says, if HP knew what HP knows, we would be 3 times more productive. And many a times, organizations continue to reinvent the wheel because nobody shares what they already know. Or when people who are tenured and engaged and smart and who have built a company leave the company, all that they know, all the wisdom just walks out the door with them. And this framework can actually help you do some of these things. So if we are to learn from a wise old man like Liu Pat, and you want to try some of these techniques, I would love to share more with you. And this is not a sales pitch or anything. It's just my baby in a way. I've created this framework. So happy to answer any questions. I'll stay on for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you want. And that this is me on the left, LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me, way too active on LinkedIn for my own good. I hang out there all the time. And on the right, if you want these slides, I'm happy to share the slide deck with you. You can scan that right-hand side QR code. Maybe share your thoughts as well. And I'll send you the Expert Edge framework. So if you give it a try, you'll make me really happy and also make yourself an impactful L&D partner. But if you get stuck in any of these things, I'm happy to walk you through some of the things that I've tested, tried, have worked, haven't worked. And I would love to see Expert Edge framework in action in your organization or wherever you go. Don't forget to give me credit. I would love that. And that's all from my side. I'm here if you want to ask me any questions. But it was my pleasure to meet all of you. I wish we had more time for interaction. And thank you. You're welcome, Barbara, Anna, Joanna, Frederick, Ryan. I appreciate it. Valeria, anything else? Did I miss out on anything? Any housekeeping announcements? Thank you, Papa.
No, Neha, only addition that the session will be posted on our YouTube channel. The link you will find in the chat. And Neha, from all the L&D Shakers community and from myself, thank you very much for being here today with us and for sharing your framework.
Thank you, Valeria. It was my pleasure. And again, a big shout out to L&D Shakers community. please, please, please join them in your respective cities or on the Slack channel. They are a fantastic group of people who are very active, and there's just so much to learn from each other in this community, whether it's about impact, ROI, facilitation, gamification, running your own L&D company, whatever it is, you'll find resources and people on the same journey as you are. So yes, a big shout out to the community as well.